Good morning, this is Dwayne, and today I'd like to talk about jazz chords. Over the years, many people have asked me how to create a jazz chord as though it's an animal all to itself. It's really not. A jazz chord is just a chord, like every other kind of chord is a chord. In other words, you use the same chords in classical music as you do in jazz, as you do in pop, as you do in gospel, whatever. It's the voicing and the touch that changes to get that typical sound. In other words, in popular music, you probably hear a chord like that, G7th, right? Well, in jazz, it may be voiced more like this. That's a stack of fourths. Not always, of course. There's a lot of different variations, but let me just show you that. Okay, and they're just chords, but the voicing makes them sound different. Here, for example, the 7th is on the bottom. It's a G7th chord like that, but the 7th's on the bottom, and the 3rd in the middle, and the 6th on top. They add a 6th. It's quite, they quite often add more color tones, more color to the chords, excuse me, such as that, okay? And that's a little strange if you're not used to it, but what you have to do is usually establish a low root voice. In other words, if it's a G chord, you probably want to hit a low G. See, in jazz, a lot of pianists play with the bass player, and the bass player does that, so you don't have the pianist doesn't have to do that. But if you're playing solo, then you would have to do that. Let me do that slow, what I just did. Okay, there it's kind of a jazzy sound, and all it is a complex chord. It's G7 suspension, and that is too, except it's got a flat 9th in it. Now what that chord is an F7th with a G chord over it. That was awful. Okay, but I just want to demonstrate that they're the same animal, they're just voiced different. Okay, here's another. If I was playing the blues, I might go like again, I'm voicing it with the 7th on the bottom, 7th, 9th, 3rd, and 6th. And the right hand happens to be in an octave, but of course that could be, you'd use that in any style probably. But typically it has a more open sound, like an open 5th or an open 4th like that. Okay? So, and in jazz too, they use a lot of half steps. So you got the same chord, you're just moving up or down a half step like that. Okay, that's all there is to jazz chords, and if you want to pursue that, I'm sure there's courses that can teach you that in detail. So thanks for being with me, and we'll see you again tomorrow with another little tip like this. So bye-bye for now.